Beyond the surface of our everyday world lies a secret architecture that shapes not just our decisions, but the very possibilities we can imagine. The ancients called this subtle force Mercury, though they weren't speaking merely of a distant planet. They were pointing to something far more intimate, the living lens through which we glimpse what's possible in our lives. Imagine standing at the edge of an infinite ocean of possibility. Each of us sails these waters with our own unique map, guided by stars that others might never see. Some of us navigate by constellations invisible to others, while some pass by golden harbors without noticing their existence. This isn't chance or coincidence. It's the eternal dance of Mercury's states, or what the ancient seers called Avasthas, those fundamental patterns of perception that exist before choice itself. Think back to those moments when the ground of reality shifted beneath your feet. Perhaps it was that instant when a path you'd never imagined suddenly crystallized before you, or when a certainty you'd built your life around dissolved like morning mist. In these moments, you're witnessing Mercury's dance with the cosmos, those precious instants when the lens of perception shifts, revealing doorways that were always there, waiting to be seen. When moonlight touches Mercury's mirror, our deepest longings become architects of reality, painting our world in the colors of desire and possibility. Under Saturn's grave influence, this same mirror might transform into a wall of limitation, showing us only what we believe lies beyond our reach. Yet when Jupiter's expansive touch graces Mercury, those very walls can become windows opening onto infinite horizons, not as metaphor, but as a fundamental shift in what we're capable of seeing as possible. Consider those caught in the maze of their own choices. Lovers who can't see the toxicity of their bonds, artists who walk past their own genius without recognition, prisoners who never test their cell doors, assuming them locked. These aren't simply psychological blind spots. They're living examples of Mercury's states, cosmic geometries that shape the very foundation of what we can and cannot perceive. Yet here lies the profound truth that the ancient seers discovered. These states aren't fixed or permanent. Like tides responding to celestial bodies, our perception flows through different states, each offering a unique window into what's possible. Understanding these patterns isn't just about making better choices, it's about expanding the very architecture of what we can perceive as choosable. As we venture deeper into these mysteries, we'll discover how Moon's influence can blind us to reality, even as it illuminates our soul's deepest yearnings. We'll understand how Saturn's seemingly harsh limitations might actually be protective veils, shielding us from possibilities we're not yet ready to embrace. We'll explore how Mars can transform our perception into a laser beam of possibility, focused yet potentially dangerous in its narrowness. This journey isn't merely about ancient wisdom, it's a living map of consciousness itself, revealing how reality transforms as it flows through different states of perception. Through understanding these patterns, we begin to grasp something profound about the nature of reality, possibility, and the very essence of choice. The question before us isn't simply what should I choose, but through what lens am I seeing my choices? The answer to this question holds the power to reshape not just our decisions, but the very fabric of what we understand as possible. So welcome to the eternal dance of Mercury's states, where perception meets possibility, and choice becomes an art of cosmic proportion. Here, in this space between thought and manifestation, we begin to understand that our choices are not just decisions we make, but windows through which the universe perceives itself. Picture consciousness as an infinite art gallery where each moment of choice becomes a carefully curated exhibition. Mercury serves as the cosmic curator, but here's where reality turns stranger than fiction. Unseen forces influence this curator, shaping not just how the exhibitions are arranged, but what artwork is allowed to enter the gallery at all. In this gallery of mind, perception follows laws more fascinating than ordinary physics. When Moon's influence starves Mercury, we enter a realm where reality itself becomes fluid, dreamlike. Imagine your mind as an ancient crystal computer designed to process not mere data, but the very substance of possibility. Moon's touch introduces something like a longing algorithm into this cosmic processor, transforming how we see everything before us. Suddenly, your reality processing system shows you not what exists, but what your heart hungers to see. Yet here's where wisdom begins to whisper its deeper truth. What if these emotional distortions aren't flaws in our cosmic programming, but essential features? Perhaps Moon's influence serves as a sacred filter, protecting us from seeing possibilities we're not yet emotionally equipped to handle. Or maybe it points out exactly where we need the most emotional healing. Like a cosmic therapist, Moon's starving of Mercury might actually be illuminating our deepest emotional wounds, showing us through our distorted choices exactly where our heart needs attention. Think of how we often repeat the same patterns in relationships, careers, or life decisions. What if these aren't just mistakes? What if Moon's influence on Mercury is actually creating a precise map of our emotional landscape, using our choices as markers to show us where healing is needed? When we find ourselves repeatedly drawn to situations that trigger our emotional hunger, perhaps Moon isn't just clouding our judgment, it's highlighting the very places where our soul seeks wholeness. This suggests a profound reframe of Mercury's relationship with Moon. Rather than seeing emotional distortion as purely limiting, we might view it as a sophisticated guidance system. Each time Moon starves Mercury, each moment when emotion overshadows logic in our choices, we're being shown another piece of our emotional puzzle that needs integration. Our irrational choices become breadcrumbs leading us toward deeper self-understanding and eventual healing. When Saturn casts its shadow across Mercury's lens, watch how the gallery walls seem to close in, possibilities fading into shadow. Yet even this serves a deeper purpose. Like a master teacher who knows exactly which lessons to reveal and which to withhold, Saturn might be shielding us from possibilities that would shatter our current reality before we're ready to rebuild it. This brings us to one of the most profound mysteries of Mercury's states, their relationship to quantum reality. In the quantum realm, possibilities exist in superposition until observed. But in your life, what collapses these waves of potential into actual choices? It's Mercury, colored and shaped by its various states, acting as your quantum observer. When Mars shames Mercury, something extraordinary happens. Your quantum observer develops a fixation pattern. Reality's wave function collapses repeatedly in the same spot, creating what physicists call a reality tunnel. You don't merely see fewer options, you become increasingly convinced these limited options are all that have ever existed or could exist. Conversely, when Jupiter delights Mercury, your quantum observer suddenly gains access to parallel probability streams. The possibilities you perceive aren't just variations on your current reality, they're glimpses into entirely different timelines, alternatives that exist in quantum superposition until you acknowledge them. This explains why those blessed by Jupiter's influence on Mercury often seem lucky. They're not just better at choosing from available options, they're literally perceiving possibilities from probability streams others can't access. Their gallery of consciousness has windows that open onto multiple universes. Venus, on the other hand, brings an entirely different quality to this cosmic exhibition. When Venus delights Mercury, it adds what we might call a harmonic resonance detector to your quantum observation system. You don't just see possibilities, you feel their resonance with your soul's frequency. Your reality processing system begins to recognize patterns most of us filter out, the subtle harmonies between choice and destiny. This explains why those touched by Venus's influence on Mercury often make choices that seem illogical to others, yet lead to profound fulfillment. They're not choosing from the same possibility set others perceive. Their quantum observation system is tuned to frequencies that recognize soul harmony over mere advantage. And here's where we approach an even deeper mystery. These states aren't just influencing our perception of reality, they're participating in reality's creation. In quantum mechanics, the observer doesn't just witness reality, it participates in reality's manifestation. If Mercury is our cosmic observer, then its various states aren't just revealing different possibilities, they're actively participating in the creation of what we experience as real. This explains why two people with different Mercury states can look at identical circumstances, yet perceive entirely different possibilities. They're not just seeing differently, they're literally participating in slightly different quantum reality streams. The Sun's influence adds yet another layer to this cosmic mystery. When Sun delights Mercury, your quantum observer gains access to higher dimensional perspectives. You don't just see more possibilities, you perceive the golden threads that connect seemingly unrelated choices into a web of meaningful synchronicity. Yet when Sun shames Mercury, your higher dimensional perception remains intact, but you lose trust in your own observations. This creates a unique quantum superposition where possibilities are simultaneously perceived and doubted, existing in a state of both recognition and rejection. This leads us to a profound question about the nature of free will itself. If our perception of possibilities is fundamentally shaped by these cosmic forces, are we ever truly choosing, or are we expressions of a grander cosmic choreography, our choices manifesting as the natural collapse of quantum probability waves shaped by Mercury's dance? Perhaps true free will isn't about selecting from infinite potential paths. Maybe it lies in developing the awareness to understand how Mercury's states shape the very lens through which we see our choices. In this light, genuine freedom might not be about having more choices, but about understanding why we see the choices we see. And here we approach the edge of an even deeper mystery. If Mercury's states shape our perception of possibilities and our perception of possibilities shapes our reality, then what shapes Mercury's states? Are we living in an infinite loop of creation, where perception creates reality, creates perception? The ancient seers whispered these secrets through time, but each truth we grasp opens doorways to greater mysteries. What they understood through intuition and observation, our quantum physicists now approach through mathematics and measurement. As we continue exploring Mercury's states, remember, we're not just studying an astrological concept. We're unraveling the very mechanism by which consciousness collapses quantum possibility into manifest reality. Watch as these cosmic states ignite the crucible of human choice. Mercury's light flows through our decisions like sunlight through crystal, revealing and concealing the paths of our becoming. Picture a woman standing in her corner office as twilight transforms the city. Her fingers trace the embossed letters of her CEO nameplate, a summit reached, yet somehow feeling like base camp. In that space between heartbeats, Mercury whispers, "What if there's more?" The cosmic lens shifts and her carefully constructed reality fragments like light through crystal. The prestigious law firm dissolves into visions of a sunlit pottery studio by the sea. This isn't mere daydreaming, it's Mercury dancing with Venus, revealing a reality where success is measured not in billable hours but in clay-stained fingers and the quiet satisfaction of creation. Let's freeze this moment and view it through different cosmic filters, each revealing a unique facet of possibility. When Moon starves Mercury, our CEO sees not just a pottery studio, but a fantasy where her first exhibition draws collectors from across the globe. The emotional hunger distorts reality until the choice becomes not about authentic creation, but about chasing an idealized dream of artistic recognition. She's not seeing what's possible, she's seeing what her heart is starving for. Not art itself, but the romance of being an artist. Now watch as Saturn's influence transforms the scene. The window becomes a mirror reflecting responsibilities. Student loans stretching into the future, employees whose livelihoods depend on her leadership, a reputation built over decades. The pottery studio doesn't even fully form as a thought. It shatters against the steel walls of should and must that Saturn has erected in her consciousness. The question isn't even allowed to be a question, but witness the alchemy when Jupiter delights Mercury. The entire framework of choice transforms. Should I leave law for pottery becomes, how might these seemingly opposing paths weave together into something entirely new? Suddenly she's envisioning art therapy programs for burned-out executives, or a revolutionary approach to corporate creativity using clay as a medium for leadership development. Jupiter doesn't just expand possibilities, it reveals the hidden bridges between worlds we thought were separate. Let's turn to another crucible of choice. A man stands in a hospital corridor at 3 a.m., fluorescent lights humming like distant stars. His father's heart monitor speaks in electronic poetry from the room behind him, each beep marking time's precious measure. Before him lies a decision about experimental surgery, a choice between intervention and acceptance, between fighting and letting go. If Mars shames Mercury, his mind becomes a battering ram against uncertainty. The subtle complexities of medical statistics and quality of life considerations blur into a desperate need for action. He can't see choices anymore, only targets to charge at, as if death itself could be defeated through sheer force of will. But watch what unfolds if Venus delights Mercury in this man's horoscope. His perception opens beyond the binary of fight or surrender. He begins to sense subtler possibilities, ways to honor both his father's journey and his own need to have done everything possible. The choice becomes not about winning or losing, but about finding grace in life's most challenging transitions. Elsewhere in the city, a young artist sits before her laptop's glow at midnight. Her cursor hovers over the send button that would commit her to teaching abroad. Her moon starves Mercury, painting cherry blossoms over the realities of cultural isolation and language barriers. She sees herself as the heroine of an expat romance, not the complex human who must navigate the everyday challenges of building a life in a foreign land. Yet, her sun delights Mercury also, so the cherry blossoms take their place in a larger landscape, helping her see both the poetry and practicality of her choice, how cultural adaptation might forge a stronger artist, how linguistic barriers might push her toward new forms of expression. The path illuminates itself not as an escape, but as a conscious step into fertile uncertainty. These cosmic lenses shape not just life's grand decisions, but its intimate transformations. Consider the writer who rises before dawn, torn between his comfortable teaching position and the novel burning in his heart. If his Mars shames Mercury, the choice becomes a battlefield where one path must die for the other to live. But if Jupiter delights Mercury, he might see how teaching could deepen his writing, how each path might nourish the other in unexpected ways. Even seemingly straightforward business decisions transform under different cosmic influences on Mercury. Watch the entrepreneur facing acquisition offers for her startup. Under Saturn's influence, she might reduce a complex choice to mere numbers. But if Venus delights Mercury, she might sense how different offers would affect her company's culture, her team's growth, and her own journey of creation. What we're witnessing is the architecture of becoming, those precious moments where reality holds its breath and waits for us to choose. Yet here's the cosmic paradox. We're not just choosing between options, we're choosing between different versions of ourselves. The CEO who stays in law becomes a different being than the one who opens the pottery studio. The sun who authorizes the surgery walks a different timeline than the one who lets nature take its course. The artist who moves abroad steps into a different dimension of herself than the one who stays. These aren't just choices, they're doorways into parallel lives. And Mercury's states are the cosmic lenses that determine which doors we can see, which ones we dare to open, and which remain invisible to us, existing only as quantum ghosts of paths not taken. In the end, every crossroads becomes a mirror, reflecting not just possibilities, but the cosmic forces shaping our vision. The mystery isn't in the paths before us, but in the lens through which we see them unfold. Because sometimes the most profound transformation isn't in the choice itself, but in developing the awareness to see how we're being guided to choose and who we become in the choosing. Now that we've witnessed how Mercury's states shape our reality, let's explore the ancient art of working with these cosmic influences consciously. This isn't merely about techniques, it's about developing an intimate relationship with the very forces that shape our perception of what's possible. First, we must learn to recognize Mercury's dance in our consciousness. You know that subtle feeling when something's not quite aligned with a decision? That whisper of doubt or surge of unclear emotion? That's your first glimpse of Mercury's current state, a chance to witness the cosmic forces shaping your perception. When Moon starves Mercury, it manifests as an emotional undertow pulling at your logical mind. Modern psychology calls this emotional reasoning, that delicate moment when feelings masquerade as facts. Rather than fighting this state, begin with gentle awareness. Write down your intended choice, then beneath it inscribe the words, "I believe this is right because." What follows often reveals the emotional currents shaping your perception. Watch how "this is definitely the right choice" transforms into "I want this to be the right choice because it would fulfill my longing for." The art lies not in suppressing these emotional currents, but in redirecting them. Modern neuroscience confirms what the ancients knew. Emotion is essential for decision-making. Instead of asking, "What do I want?" explore, "What am I hungry for?" Often, you'll discover that the surface choice masks a deeper hunger. That urgent desire to change careers might really be a soul's longing for creative expression, not just a different job title. When Saturn casts its shadow across Mercury's lens, we encounter what feels like walls closing in. The mind becomes an echo chamber of cannot and should not. Rather than accepting these limitations as absolute truth, we can practice what we call the Saturn shift. Notice the limiting thought as it arises. Then with gentle awareness, add these words, "I'm having the thought that," and follow with, "and that's just Saturn talking to Mercury." Feel how this subtle shift transforms "I can't possibly start my own business" into something you can observe rather than something that owns you. This creates space between you and the limitation, revealing it as a lens rather than an absolute truth. Mars shaming Mercury brings its own medicine, an overwhelming urge toward action, any action. The mind becomes a pressure cooker of must do something now. This is where ancient mindfulness meets modern insight through what we call the sacred pause. It begins with conscious breath, not as escape, but as anchor. With your first breath, name the urge present in your consciousness. With your second breath, feel where this urgency lives in your body. With your third breath, ask softly, "What's the rush, Mars?" This creates a pocket of space in which clearer perception can emerge. When Jupiter delights Mercury and possibilities seem endless, we might paradoxically find ourselves paralyzed by abundance. Here we practice what the ancients called the wisdom filter. Allow your mind to roam freely at first, gathering all possibilities that call to you. Then, like a master jeweler examining gems, hold each possibility up to 3 lights. Does it resonate with your deepest values? Can you take one small step toward it today? Would it still call to you if no one else ever knew about it? The Sun-Mercury dynamic requires its own artistry. When Sun delights Mercury, you might feel pressure to make the perfect illuminated choice. Instead, practice what ancient wisdom calls choice weaving, making not one perfect choice, but a series of small, conscious choices. Each small decision becomes a thread in a larger tapestry, each step revealing the next portion of the path. Venus delighting Mercury speaks in whispers that require subtle listening. This is where embodied wisdom becomes our guide. Close your eyes and allow each possibility to arise in your consciousness. Don't analyze, feel. Notice where your body softens, where it tenses. Your body carries ancient wisdom that your mind might not yet comprehend. The master key to working with Mercury's states lies in recognizing your personal Mercury pattern. Like a fingerprint of consciousness, each of us has habitual ways our Mercury responds to cosmic influences. The Mercury journal becomes your tool for self-discovery. For one lunar cycle, observe your decision-making patterns. Notice not just what you choose, but how you approach the very act of choosing. Watch how different cosmic influences color your perception. Modern neuroscience offers us profound hope. Our brains remain plastic, constantly rewiring based on experience and attention. By working consciously with Mercury's states, we're not just making better choices, we're literally reshaping our cosmic decision-making circuitry. Remember, Mercury's states aren't your destiny, they're your palette of perception, each offering unique colors with which to paint your reality. The art lies not in fighting these influences, but in dancing with them consciously, like a master musician who knows when to play each note. Think of yourself as a cosmic conductor, orchestrating these influences into your unique symphony of choice. Sometimes you need Saturn's bass notes of practical wisdom, sometimes Jupiter's soaring melody of possibility, sometimes Moon and Venus's emotional harmonies. Your power lies in conscious collaboration with these cosmic forces. Perhaps this is Mercury's deepest teaching. Our choices aren't just about outcomes. They're opportunities to become more conscious participants in the cosmic dance of creation. Each decision becomes a chance to practice this celestial choreography, to move more gracefully between cosmic influences while remaining true to our inner wisdom. So the next time you stand at a crossroads, remember, you're not just deciding, you're participating in an ancient dance of consciousness and cosmos. And now you know some of the steps to this eternal choreography. As our exploration of Mercury's cosmic dance draws to a close, you might find yourself standing at a fascinating threshold. Like light passing through a prism, your understanding of choice and possibility may have split into new colors, revealing patterns in your own decision-making you've never noticed before. Perhaps you've recognized Moon's emotional undertow in choices you've made, or felt Saturn's walls echoing in moments of limitation. Maybe you've glimpsed Jupiter's expansive vision in times of opportunity, or experienced Mars focusing your perception into singular determination. These aren't abstract patterns, they're the very threads from which you weave your reality. Yet understanding these patterns is merely the beginning. True mastery lies in learning to dance with these cosmic influences consciously, to navigate their currents with awareness and grace. It's about recognizing when Moon is coloring your perception with emotional hunger, or when Saturn's limitations might actually be protecting you from paths you're not yet ready to walk. In my years of studying and working with people, I've witnessed how understanding these patterns can transform not just decisions, but entire life trajectories. This wisdom becomes particularly powerful when applied to your unique cosmic fingerprint, your personal way of processing reality and possibility. Through one-on-one consultations, we can explore how these ancient wisdom patterns manifest in your specific life circumstances. Think of these sessions as a journey of discovery, where astrological insight meets practical wisdom. Whether you're facing major life decisions or seeking to understand your patterns more deeply, this work can illuminate paths that might otherwise remain hidden from view. I offer these consultations online, creating an intimate space where we can dive deep into your personal Mercury patterns regardless of geographical boundaries. Each session is unique, tailored to your specific questions and life circumstances. Together, we'll explore how Mercury's current state influences your perception, uncover your habitual patterns of choosing, and develop personalized approaches for working with challenging Mercury states. The ancient seers left us these maps not just to understand the stars, but to navigate our own consciousness more skillfully. In learning to work with Mercury states consciously, we become more artful creators of our own destiny, more aware participants in the cosmic dance of choice and possibility. If you feel called to explore how these patterns manifest in your own life, to gain deeper insight into your personal Mercury dynamics, I welcome you to reach out. Together, we can illuminate the paths ahead and help you navigate them with greater wisdom and awareness. Remember, you're not just making choices, you're participating in a cosmic dance of creation. Sometimes, having a guide who understands both the music and the movements can help you find your own unique rhythm in this eternal choreography. The journey of understanding Mercury's states is both personal and universal. While this exploration has offered maps and insights, the real adventure begins when you start applying this wisdom to your own life's crossroads. Let this be not an ending, but a beginning, an invitation to see your choices through new eyes, to dance more consciously with the cosmic forces shaping your perception, and to step more fully into your power as a conscious creator of your reality. Until our paths cross again, may Mercury's light illuminate your chosen path. Thank you for watching. This is Ayla, signing off.